Hello, I hope you are doing great today. Let me tell you, I am happy and I'm feeling energized because I got to sit on our back patio on our couch with my little sweet cocoa with clean air that was fresh and crisp, and the fall is coming. I can see and feel it, and I'm so excited about that. Today, I'm going to talk to you all about how to find your joy when you just can't find it. And let me tell you, I have been there where it just seemed that life was too heavy or too hard, and I just didn't see how I would get to the other side and find joy again. Years ago, probably 9 or 10 years ago, I wrote myself 5 steps to reclaiming joy, and I just lightly changed the title, and I'm going to be sharing that with you today. Grab your pen and paper, you know how it goes, and grab a cup of coffee because we're going to talk all about those 5 steps and how you too can find your joy again. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm on a quest to help you find the most confident version of you. I help women become the most authentic version of themselves by helping them find clarity around who they are and who they want to be. My goal is to help women sift through all that noise that they have in their head about who they should be or who they shouldn't be, and create a plan to be exactly who they want to be. You don't have to continue to live with anxiety, high stress, and overwhelm. You can, little by little, get back to a place of peace and live with more contentment than you ever thought possible. You don't have to merely survive day to day. There is a life waiting for you, thriving. Grab your coffee, your favorite colored pen, and a pad of paper because we're headed out to find your confidence today. As I sat outside this morning, I was thinking about the power of reclaiming your joy and how powerful having joy is. Even in those moments that feel awful, there's still room for joy. I was thinking, my husband and I have just been through so many trials. We've lost 3 babies to miscarriage. I've had the double diagnosis of cancer. There was a time where we thought my husband had a brain tumor. We've had lots of loss with friends that were unexpected and tragic. And we've had times where literally we didn't have a ton of money. And my husband had a way of making that fun. He was like, oh, I can make us a great dinner with $10 in the grocery store, which I always thought was impossible. And he always managed to make it amazing and great. But the thing is that it didn't feel wonderful, right? Not to have the money at the time and knowing that life was tough. So it hasn't always been an easy road, but we're still blessed and we have so much love to share. We love to laugh and be silly together, and we tend to circle back to one another to recalibrate every now and then when we know that we need to get back on track. But let me tell you, it doesn't always feel easy, and it doesn't always feel as if it's all gonna work out. Sometimes finding joy just has to be intentional. So I'm gonna share my 5 steps to reclaiming joy in your life. And hopefully, if you're in a place in your life where life just feels heavy or impossible, know that I know that feeling and know that it doesn't have to feel that way forever, and it will change eventually, but sometimes you need just a little bit of oomph or intentionality to get through each day. Let me say this. I'm sorry if this is you and you're going through whatever it is that you're going through. Big hugs to you. I do have good news. You can find joy again. It just may take time to process it and get through it. But I'm here for it. I'm here for you. Obviously, if you feel like you need someone to talk to, please reach out. I have a free discovery call that you can check out, and it's no cost to you, but maybe it will give you what you need to know if coaching can be for you or if it's something that might help you get to your joy again. Without more ado, let's just talk about those 5 steps to reclaiming joy or finding your joy. No matter what's going on, and I do mean that, no matter what is going on, you can find joy. The very, very first thing to consider is, what is joy? According to Webster Dictionary, joy is a feeling of great pleasure or happiness that comes from success, good fortune, or just a sense of well-being. Of course, success can come with joy and good fortune can come with joy. But today I am certainly going to focus more on just having a sense of well-being or a sense of calm or a sense of having a peacefulness about you. So the number one thing that we will do in the 5 steps to reclaiming your joy is making room for joy. Now, what do I mean by that? What is holding you back, or what baggage are you carrying around? Do you have people you need to forgive? Do you have unfinished projects? Do you have resentment? Do you have jealousy or envy? Are you holding on to broken things in your life, physical things, emotional things? Are you not allowing your heart to heal from a past relationship or past encounter with someone that was devastating or difficult? What are you holding on to that's preventing you from moving forward? I want to take one moment and I want you to visualize something with me. Now, obviously, if you're driving or doing something, you'll do this another time. Put your hands in front of you, take both of your hands, and I want you to close them. And I want you to visualize what the things are that you have that are unfinished in your hands. And I want you to think about looking across the room and you see something that you really, really want, or something that you know that will really give you joy. If that something comes towards you, that joy is coming towards you, and you have all these other things in your hand that you are holding on to, you don't have the space to reach out and grab onto that joy because you are consumed, or all of your space is held onto in your hands of what could be available to you if you finished up all those things that you're holding onto. So I have an exercise for you to do. I want you to take the moment to just make a list of all the incompletes in your brain or in your life that are holding you back. Those can be incomplete tasks. It can be incomplete mourning. It can be incomplete relationships you don't have closure over. It can be all kinds of things that are occupying your space, your brain. What is holding you back? And then what I want you to do, this is audacious, but I want you to look at that list and I want you to consider, could you give yourself a time frame and then complete those tasks that you need to? And if it is something that is really hard to deal with, like grief or a relationship that has caused you great pain or a death in the family, something like that, and you need help, please go get help. It may be that you put on that piece of paper for your incomplete task to schedule an appointment with a therapist, or schedule time to write down all your thoughts about that relationship that didn't work out, or figure out some other way to give you more closure to that particular thing. Give yourself a deadline, write it down, and hold yourself accountable to that, because I promise you, if you do that, you're going to make more room for joy. That's number 1. Number 2, I want you to believe in you. Trust yourself and believe that you deserve to feel and have more joy. So I want you to have a gut check right now. When you think about joy and you think about you, do you believe you deserve more joy? Are you negotiating in your brain about, oh, I did this, or I didn't do this, or I got a divorce, or I didn't do my best, or I could have done something different? Are you shaming yourself? Are you allowing that shame or that blame to overshadow the belief in yourself that you deserve joy? If you do, you have to clean that up. You have to get to a point where you're okay doing the work you need to do to believe in you. Without believing in you, you'll never be able to truly make room for joy and enjoy the joy. So that's number 2. Number 3, I want you to make a choice, intentionally choose to focus on what brings you joy. So in the beginning of this, I talk about how much joy I have sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee out on a crisp, cool morning. I know that action brings me joy. It fills me up with this well-being, this knowing that life is good when I can sit somewhere in a cool, crisp morning with a cup of coffee, especially with someone I love. It truly, truly brings me the greatest joy. So know what brings you joy and consider doing that as often as possible. So here's another exercise. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about a time in your life when you felt peacefulness, happiness, and joy. I want you to really think about it. I want you to make it like a movie in your mind. Look around. What do you see? What do you notice about the moment? What are you doing? What does it smell like? What is the environment? Who are the people with you? Are there no people with you? Do you have pets? Do you have family with you? Is it friends? Now, just take a moment to write all that down and look at all those observations that you made. What actually brings you joy? And focus on that. Are there ways that you can recreate it? So let me tell you, when I was truly suffering, didn't feel a lot of joy in my life, and just really struggled being happy, I actually spent a lot of time watching Hallmark. That shut my brain down. And of course, it always was sealed with a kiss, right? There were no drama or trauma in the show that would trigger me to feel other things. So what are your things? What are the things that you know bring you joy? I want you to write down 2 of those things that bring you joy, and I want you to make a commitment to do them at least once a week or 2 times a week if possible, okay? So I know you probably think if you're in a really rough place, sometimes we tend to believe we cannot do that, but just commit yourself to 1 or 2 things each week, and I promise little by little, you'll get back to feeling joyful more in your life. That's number 3. Number 4, I want you desperately to stop comparing your journey to anyone else's journey. Look, we are in a time of social media craze. If you look at other people online, you're only getting snippets, like 5 seconds of the time. And it's actually contrived. They're thinking about what they're going to put online to show other people. So you're getting the best of them. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. That even goes for if someone else is having children and you're not having children, or if somebody gets a new car and you don't have a new car, whatever it is, don't compare yourself to that other person because you just don't know what the other side of their life looks like. The other thing I want to tell you is that when you look at other people and you're observing other people in the world, we oftentimes get it wrong. We make judgments, we have thoughts about their experience and what we're experiencing of them. And 9 times out of 10, y'all, we're just off. I'll give you a story. My husband and I were at breakfast the other day, and there was a guy sitting behind us eating, and all of a sudden he gets up and he walks out the back door. And I'm thinking, he just walked his tab. And I kind of sat up in my seat to look what was on the table. And my husband looked at me and he was like, "What?" I'm like, "I think that guy just walked his tab." So as we're sitting there, the server wasn't nearby. I was kind of watching because I was going to say something. But then all of a sudden, there is a woman who appears. And I'm like, that's odd. I didn't see her earlier. Well, it turns out that the husband and the wife, I assume, came together. And she must have been outside with a child on a playground because there's a playground in that area behind several of the restaurants in the area. And then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, he comes in with the child and sits down. So I only tell the story to say I only had such a small portion of the story, and my perception of his actions was so off. He came in without his wife and child because they were at the playground. He ordered food. I'm assuming they waited till the food was on the table to switch out places so she could eat and he could go play with the child. But I didn't know all that because I was only seeing a small portion of it. So I know it may or may not be relevant to where you are in your life, but it does give you a good illustration of how you do not want to focus on anyone else and what they're doing and what they're not doing. Stop worrying about what other people are doing and focus on you. And I promise you will have more time and space for your own joy. That was number 4. Number 5, be grateful for what you have right now, where you are, no matter what the circumstances. Look, when my husband and I really went through all the child loss, it was devastating. I mean, in 2 years, we had 3 miscarriages. I was pregnant for 10 and a half months out of those 2 years. My body had gone through so much, and physically and mentally, it just was really, really difficult. But there was a day where we literally sat down and conscientiously had to do something to help us cope with this. I think my husband needed it less than I did, but I certainly needed something. So what we ended up doing was making a pluses list. Now, it sounds weird, but what are the pluses of not having kids? That's what our list was. So, not having kids was really difficult, but what we figured out was God has a plan. We don't know it. We don't understand it. And that isn't necessarily something we can do anything about at the moment. But at that time, we didn't have the money. And then I was diagnosed with cancer. So adoption wasn't an option. So there just were so many things happening, but we needed something to kind of help us feel positive about what was going on. So we made a list, and that pluses list became a very easy way for he or I to look at one another and say pluses, like when things were super crazy. So obviously having kids would have been our best option. We would have loved that. But obviously without having kids, life can be good as well. So 1, our house is a little bit cleaner. We don't have to worry about kids messing up the house, right? 2, we had less money going out because when it comes to having children, I guess the average child costs you around $25,000 a year, which is no joke when it comes to finances. Eating out in restaurants, being able to eat out at a restaurant and have a peaceful meal without some kid throwing foods around and that sort of thing. So those were the kinds of things that went on our list. And it became kind of a joke if we sat at a restaurant and there was some child next to us who was crying or just wasn't listening, throwing food around. We literally would just look at each other and just go, pluses. Yep, we don't have to deal with that because we don't have kids. Now, that doesn't take away that we wanted kids. It just helped us cope with it a little bit differently. So we just really focused on what are we grateful for the part that we have access to right now? Where are we now and what are the benefits for it? It didn't give us kids. It didn't help us necessarily not hurt in our hearts for wanting kids, but it did help us focus on what were the pluses of not having kids. So I don't know. I'm probably babbling on a little bit on that, but that is how we were focusing on being grateful. So what can you do in your moment and where you are right now? What can you be thankful for? Even if your journey is difficult, even if you're in a tough time, even if it feels really heavy and really hard, what is there for you to be thankful for? Let me tell you, life can really throw some really heavy things at people. And matter of fact, if you escape life without that, you're extremely fortunate because most of us have to deal with pretty heavy circumstances at some point in our lives. So if you are someone who is really struggling right now, I really want to help you. I would love to help you figure out if life coaching would help you. Because for me, life coaching changed my life. And I don't say that as a sales pitch. I say that as a true, from my heart to you, I literally was able to change my life with someone helping me think forward. Not thinking backward. Therapy was just making me rehash everything. And I love therapy. Therapy is helpful. There's a right time and a right place for it. But if you're ready to move forward and out of whatever it is that is making your life difficult and hard, and you want help with that, I am here for you. I give a free discovery call just so it allows whoever it is to decide if I'm the type of coach they want to work with. If you are someone who is struggling with something and wants to know if coaching is something that could help you get over that hump and get back to finding your joy, I am so in it to help you figure out if this is for you. I really have access to so many different types of coaches, and if I'm not the right coach for you, I can connect you with someone who really can help you. I hope you look at all these 5 steps. Let me review them really quick. Number 1, make room for joy. Clean out your closets, clean out your mindset, clean up your brain, figure out what are the incomplete tasks, make a list for when you are going to complete them and do that. Number 2, believe in you. If you're not believing in you, then it's going to be hard for you to get to joy. Number 3, choose to focus on what brings you joy. Make a choice to do 1 or 2 things each week that brings you joy, that helps you get to that happy part of you. Number 4, stop comparing your journey to anyone else's journey. It just doesn't work. We are all in a different book and we're all in a different chapter. Don't compare anything about your life with anyone else's. Nothing, nada, none of it. That means for good or for bad. Number 5, Be grateful for what you have right now, where you are, no matter what the circumstances. I promise you, if you implement all 5 of these, you will find yourself in more joy. I promise you. This list of 5, I wrote this when I was struggling, when I was in the midst of it, when I was really, really having a tough time, because I knew I had to do something to get myself out of it. I hope it helps you. And I'm going to tell you, this is the truth. You're magnificent. You are going to get out of this wherever you are right now. If you're struggling, it's going to get better. I promise. Tomorrow is a new day, and you have the capability to feel joy no matter where you are, no matter what's going on right now. I hope you feel tons of it today and forever. I'll see you next week. Take care. Hey, I want to thank you for listening in to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I really hope you learned something valuable today. Can you do me the biggest favor? Right now, could you share the show with 3 people you know that might enjoy listening in? If you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you took the time to leave a rating or review. This helps people just like you find the podcast so they can also get great fun tips about confidence. Then don't forget, come back each week and we will keep giving out little tips for how to increase your confidence, how to ditch that self-doubt and stop your negative thought patterns so you can get back to your crazy confident self and pursue your biggest dreams fearlessly. See you next week. Love you big.